What if you could take everything that went wrong with modern cities? Pollution, overcrowding, traffic, and just start over. No half fixes, no compromises, just a clean slate. That's exactly what China is doing. About 100 kilometers from Beijing, deep in Hebei province, a brand new city is rising from scratch. And not just any city. This one comes with a $93 billion price tag. In 2017, China's central government made a surprise announcement. They were planning a brand new megacity south of Beijing called the Xiongan New Area. But this is not just another infrastructure project. It had the full political weight of President Xi Jinping behind it. He personally pushed the project through, visited the area multiple times, and called it a strategy of lasting importance for the millennium to come. In Chinese politics, that's not just praise, it's ownership. That's why many now call it the city of Xi Jinping. But what's the goal here? Why build a whole new city from scratch, and will it actually work? To understand all of that, you first need to understand why this city is being built in the first place. Beijing is overcrowded. Over 22 million people live in the city, and the number keeps climbing. Traffic jams stretch for hours, air pollution has been a recurring emergency, and housing prices have pushed even middle-class families to the edge of the city or beyond. China's leadership has known for years that the capital can't keep absorbing growth like this. The city handles everything: government, culture, research, manufacturing, logistics, and it's just not sustainable. So the idea was to take some of that weight off Beijing's shoulders, shift it somewhere new, somewhere clean, organized, designed to grow correctly from day one. But this was not just about fixing Beijing. The government sees Shiongan as a strategic development zone for the entire Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region, also known as the Jing-Jin-Ji mega region. It's an area with over 100 million residents and enormous economic weight. Shiongan location puts it right in the middle of this triangle, making it ideal as a connector city. So if you build it right, it connects everything. This time, the goal is to avoid what happened with cities like Shenzhen or Guangzhou, where factories came first, people followed, and infrastructure caught up decades later. Xiongan, by contrast, is designed from the start to avoid those mistakes. It has been designated a national new area, a status shared with only a handful of other regions, including Pudong in Shanghai and Binhai in Tianjin. That means this city is a national priority, with direct backing from China's central leadership. Now that we know why China is doing this, let's look at where it's happening and how massive the project really is. Xiongan is about 100 kilometers southwest of Beijing, in a lowland area once known for its wetlands and shallow lakes. Much of the land here was marshy, flood-prone terrain, the kind most developers would avoid. But that's exactly why it was chosen. The government saw it as a blank canvas, rural, underdeveloped, and easy to reshape. The city spans over 2,000 square kilometers, roughly 3 times the size of New York City. It covers 3 counties: Xiong, Rongcheng, and Anxin. Development is rolling out in 3 main stages. The first phase aims to have the central core up and running by 2025, covering about 100 square kilometers with government offices, residential areas, and high-speed rail links. The next big milestone is 2035. By then, Xiongan is expected to evolve into a national innovation hub, home to more than 2 million people. After that, the long game begins. Beyond 2040, the plan is to fully expand the city, reaching up to 5 million residents and fully connecting it to the broader Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region. But scale is not the only thing they're thinking about. Speed and connectivity are central to the plan. A high-speed rail line now connects it to Beijing in just over 40 minutes. That's faster than some Beijing residents can commute across town. And it doesn't stop there. New expressways, intercity rail links, and planned metro systems are designed to knit this mega city into the economic network of North China. The city is also just 55 kilometers from Beijing Daxing International Airport, another mega project designed to shift traffic away from the capital. This is not a short-term construction project, it's a generational rollout. It's being built with the infrastructure of a major hub and with enough space to grow for decades. But Xiongan is not just large, it's designed to be fundamentally different from the cities China built during its last urban boom. This time, the focus is on sustainability, long-term planning, and smart infrastructure. Let's start with the environmental side. Roughly 70% of the city's area is reserved for water and green space. That includes lakes, wetlands, forests, and parkland woven throughout residential and commercial zones. Bayangdian Lake, one of northern China's largest freshwater bodies, is being cleaned and preserved as a central feature of the new city. It's not just a nice view, it's part of the city's flood control system. Construction in Shiongan follows strict eco-friendly standards. There are limits on industrial pollution, building density, and energy consumption. Officials say the city will rely heavily on solar, wind, and geothermal energy, part of China's larger push to reduce emissions and meet its climate goals. But sustainability is not just about going green, it's also about making the city function efficiently. That's where technology comes in. It is being built as a smart city from the ground up. That means AI-powered traffic and logistics systems to reduce congestion, sensors and IoT devices monitoring everything from water quality to energy use, underground infrastructure networks, including tunnels for utilities and deliveries, to free up surface-level space for pedestrians and public transit, even smart lampposts that adjust lighting based on pedestrian flow and environmental conditions, cashless payments, digital IDs, autonomous vehicles. All of it is part of the plan. Shiongan is also one of the first pilot zones for China's digital currency, the ECNY. Also, the city's design has been carefully planned to serve a specific purpose: make urban living less stressful, more walkable, and more balanced. Instead of endless sprawl, it is structured around compact mixed-use zones. That means residential buildings, schools, offices, shops, and parks are all within walking or cycling distance. The goal is to eliminate the long commutes and chaotic zoning that plague older cities. Cars are not banned, but they're not the priority. Roads are designed to limit car traffic and encourage pedestrian-first planning. Parking is kept underground. Above ground, most streets are shared spaces. Architecturally, the city combines modern design with subtle nods to traditional Chinese aesthetics. You'll find curved roofs, garden courtyards, and natural materials mixed in with steel and glass. International firms have also been involved. Foster Plus Partners, for example, helped design the transportation hubs. Other firms have contributed to the green building codes, modular housing layouts, and smart infrastructure systems. One major highlight is the Xiongan High-Speed Railway Station, a massive energy-efficient terminal designed to look like a white lotus. It runs almost entirely on renewable energy and features facial recognition ticketing and AI-powered crowd control systems. In short, every element has been designed in advance. But even with the world's best architects, a city needs more than looks. It needs an economy. So how do you make a new city economically viable? Step 1. Move in the government. Several major state-owned enterprises, including some of China's biggest banks, tech firms, and research institutes, have already been ordered to move branches or headquarters to Xiongan. These are not optional moves. They're directives straight from the top. Step 2. Build a tech ecosystem. The city is targeting industries like AI, biotech, new energy, and smart manufacturing. Tech parks, startup incubators, and subsidized office spaces are already being built. And to make it attractive, the government is offering tax breaks, cheap land, fast-track permits, and housing benefits for relocated workers. Eventually, the city is expected to house over 5 million residents and contribute hundreds of billions of yuan annually to the national GDP. But this is not the first attempt to build a futuristic city from scratch. Around the world, several countries have launched their own versions of smart cities with varying degrees of success. Take Songdo in South Korea. Planned in the early 2000s, it was marketed as the world's first truly smart city, filled with sensors, data integration, and green spaces. But decades later, parts of it still feel underpopulated. The tech worked, but the human element lagged behind. More recently, Saudi Arabia's NEOM project, particularly The Line, has grabbed headlines for its surreal scope and bold design. But even with unlimited money, projects like NEOM face many challenges. Compared to those, Xiongan has a few key advantages. It's backed by a strong, centralized government that can commit long-term funding. It's not in the middle of a desert. It's next to one of the world's largest metropolitan areas. It's not speculative. Relocation orders, policy support, and rail connections are already in motion. But those strengths come with their own risks. Because Xiongan is state-led, it's deeply tied to the political priorities of the current leadership. If national priorities shift or economic conditions tighten, progress could stall or be redirected entirely. Globally, it is seen as a symbol of China's confidence, its ability to shape land, move populations, and plan decades ahead. It's also a strategic move in the context of the Belt and Road Initiative, signaling that China is not just building roads and ports abroad, it's experimenting at home too. But ambition doesn't guarantee results, which brings us to the big question. How far along is Xiongan actually? Construction is well underway, but it's still a work in progress. Some of the core infrastructure has been completed. The Shiongan high-speed railway station is operational, connecting the city to Beijing. Major roads, bridges, and underground utility tunnels are in place across the central development zone. Dozens of residential blocks have been built, complete with schools, parks, and smart infrastructure. But in many parts of the city, it still feels empty. Streets are clean, buildings are new, but there's barely anyone around. However, this is not unexpected. The plan was always to build first and populate later, but it highlights one of the biggest challenges with planned cities: momentum. People don't just move because there's a building ready. They move because there's opportunity. That's why the government is still relying on administrative relocation, pushing public institutions to shift to Xiongan to generate activity. So far, around 120 central enterprises have registered offices in the city, though many are still in the early stages of setup. There have also been construction delays and budget revisions. Some reports suggest that key parts of the city are progressing slower than expected due to supply chain issues and the sheer complexity of the build. However, it is designed to grow in phases, decades-long phases. Officials are not expecting it to be a fully populated megacity overnight. The plan stretches well into the 2040s and beyond. In the short term, the focus is on getting people in the door: government workers, researchers, students, and key enterprise employees. That initial population forms the base for organic growth: schools, shops, restaurants, housing markets. If it works, Xiongan could set a new standard for how China and possibly other countries build future cities: greener, smarter, and more structured from day one. A shift away from chaotic expansion toward data-informed, human-centered planning. But if it fails, it becomes another cautionary tale, another planned city that looked good on paper but couldn't attract enough life to justify its cost. That's the risk with any mega project of this size, and it's especially true in a place like Xiongan, where nearly everything — jobs, housing, culture, and traffic — has been engineered before the first residents even arrived. So what's it going to be? Blueprint for the future or an empty shell? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you soon in the next video.